From the combined newsrooms in Eugene, Roseburg, and Coos Bay, KVAL News at 6 starts now.
I mean, the things they are promising, the people he's bringing on board, the fact that they're saying no one can serve in his administration who doesn't believe the election was stolen in 2020. There'll be no one there to say no when he wants to use the military against civilians in the United States of America and do other unconstitutional things. So I'm very worried.
Strong words from former Congressman Peter DeFazio, who said he believes Donald Trump's second term will be worse than the first. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brandon Cameraman.
And I'm Kendall Bartley. DeFazio, of course, the one who passed the torch to Congresswoman Val Hoyle, who is running against Monique Despain. And just as we come on the air tonight, Monique Despain did release a statement on the current state of that race, saying, quote, "Every vote counts, but not all District 4 votes have been received or counted. The turnout numbers so far show that out of the roughly 520,000 eligible registered voters, we haven't yet heard from nearly 33% of our voters. My campaign has knocked on the doors, met with, and called tens of thousands of those voters this year."
After personally hearing their profound concerns and frustration at not feeling heard, I feel obligated to wait for all of our voters' voices to be heard in this election, end quote. That was Monique Despain. And I should point out, we did just get new numbers coming into Lane County particularly. So some of those numbers that were in earlier today have changed. Check our website for the latest numbers.
Now, all this comes after Despain spoke at a Republican watch party last night. Our team was actually present at that party, as well as the Democratic watch party, speaking with voters as well as candidates.
Yeah, our team spoke with both sides to get reactions to these local elections, state elections, and national election results. KVAL's Tiffany Lewis recaps those parties.
At the Lane County Republican Watch Party, candidates addressed their supporters after state and local election results came out at 8 p.m. Speaking around 9, Monique Despain, who ran against incumbent Val Hoyle for the District 4 U.S. congressional seat, chose not to concede the race, despite Hoyle holding a 10-point lead with more than 60% of the votes counted.
We couldn't keep you waiting any longer, but it's true, the fat lady has not sung. And every vote counts, and every vote has not been counted. And we just don't have enough information. But what we do know is we will never give up.
Meanwhile, Rep. Val Hoyle explaining her top priorities shortly after declaring victory.
I will continue working on the Port of Coos Bay so that we can bring 8,000 really good jobs to the South Coast and West Lane County. We need to work on addressing the climate crisis and the wildfires that are happening because of that. So that will be my top priority. And then housing, making sure we can create all the jobs we want, but if we don't have enough housing, and we don't, then where are workers going to live? And in order to have affordable housing, we need to build more housing. So I'll be working with people at the local, state, and federal level to invest in that.
Darren Harbeck, who ran against Democrat candidate Michelle Emmons for the state District 12 seat, declared victory.
So I've done a lot of work. I've heard their views, heard what they care about. It's the same thing I care about. I've been here for 55 years in Oregon, in rural Lane County. So the same issues that I'm facing are what everybody else is facing. So I'm going to continue to listen to them, both sides of the aisle, and go work for what makes Oregon great.
Lane County Commissioner Lori Trieger discussed her focus as she continues into her second term.
I'm very honored and excited to have been reelected to continue many of the projects that I started in my first term, most notably ensuring that we modernize our waste management processing in Lane County with the construction of the Clean Lane project and standing up our Behavioral Health Stabilization Center. Those are two significant key initiatives that started during my first term and that I'm very excited to get to see through in the second.
Corey Burkett, who lost against longtime incumbent John Lively for the State District 7 seat, conceded.
This has taught me so much about the importance of being a vested community member, placing others before yourself, and the importance of being willing.
And Lane County Commissioner David Lovell, who led several prayers throughout the night, commented on the state of the nation as election results continued to pour in.
I mean, as a nation, we got a lot of things to do. We can't even come to a table anymore and have a discussion about what we agree to without saying that somebody who disagrees with me is evil and my enemy. That's not faith.
Regardless of the election's outcome, re-elected Eugene City Councilor and former fire chief Randy Groves said he's witnessed riots in the community and is hopeful residents will remain calm.
I'm sure we all have our personal beliefs and opinions and hopes for what the outcomes will be, but the reality is, as a nation, as a state, as a community, we're bigger than any single election.
In Eugene, I'm Tiffany Lewis reporting.
Go ahead and take a look at your screen. This map really outlining the presidential race and how they performed in each county throughout the state. Percentages pretty dramatic. In Benton, Deschutes, and Lane counties, Vice President Kamala Harris won by an average of 60.5%.
But in Coos, Douglas, and Lynn counties, Trump is up by more than 62%. The biggest margin so far appears to be Multnomah County. Harris ahead by about 80% of the vote. Trump is ahead in Lake County by 81.5% of the vote.
The big decider for the Oregon electorate is how many people live in and voted in each county. Now, following the election last night, voters on both sides of the aisle found themselves contemplating the future of the country. KVAL's Danny Condon spoke with Eugene voters to get their reactions.
As the ballot counting wraps up and Donald Trump is declared the winner, voters across Eugene are gathering their thoughts and feelings. While some are excited about the results,
I thought it was going to be a lot closer than what it was, but I'm glad it was, the outcome was a lot nicer than what I thought it was going to be, so I'm glad that Trump won. I'm looking forward to what he's going to do for the United States and to help with the future for the children and for the present, getting us turned around and helping with the border and helping with just a lot of different areas.
some have worries about the next few years.
I empathize with the women. I see that they are quite devastated, especially considering that the last administration was Trump. Trump put like 3 Supreme Court justices in. They repealed Roe v. Wade, and thus kind of impeding on women's autonomy. So I empathize with them. I also see this as a loss for Palestine. So I think it's there's a lot of ways to look at it, and a lot of ways to look at it as a loss for a lot of people.
And some voters, regardless of party affiliation, say it's important we stay united.
I think the biggest thing right now is my party didn't win, so on and so forth, but we really got to find a way to come together in the world that we live in. It's just, we got to look out for each other, because all we have is each other. If you think about Lane County, Oregon, United States as a whole, we're all facing different issues, but same issues at the same time. So if we don't work together, then we can't really solve those.
Reporting in Eugene, I'm Danny Condon.
Governor Tina Kotek calling for calm following last night's election. In a statement released this afternoon, the governor saying, quote, "If you feel the need to exercise your right to freedom of political expression and freedom of assembly, I ask that you do so peacefully and lawfully. Oregonians have shown they will continue to lead with compassion, courage, and conviction, protecting a place where everyone can be themselves, feel welcome, and have equal opportunity to a healthy, prosperous life. Our laws, our policies, and our actions will remain a deterrent to any attacks on our values and our democracy." The Coos County Jail's capacity is expected to be cut in half, with inmates being released early due to an apparent failure of a tax levy this election. The Coos County Sheriff's Office is going to take the biggest hit, according to Sheriff Gabe Fabrizio. The jail itself will go from having 98 beds to 49 beds. The remainder of the inmates set to be released early.
Like I said, there'll be limited services, or it'll reduce services in my office, most notably the jail, but potentially patrol and elsewhere. But it could seriously reduce services to the rest of the county as well.
Now, there's no clarity yet on exactly when those inmates will be released early. Fabrizio said that is in the works. Meanwhile, staff cuts are also expected to happen soon. However, Drew Farmer, who claimed victory in his race for county commissioner against incumbent Bob Main, said he has a solution to help fill the budget gap.
One of the things that had been thrown away in the past by the individual I'm replacing was an opportunity to bring Old Wagon Road back into production by collaborating with the KVAL tribe. This is not something that would happen immediately in time to save the current situation, but it can prevent it down the road because of the revenue that was anticipated to be generated.
Now, Farmer mentioned that in 2012, an opportunity was on the table to enter co-management with the KVAL tribe and was set up at the federal level by former state representative Peter DeFazio, but former U.S. Congressman Peter DeFazio, but it required unanimous agreement among Coos County commissioners. Farmer says Maine was the only commissioner against that deal that would have generated a minimum of $5 million per year for the county. Meantime, Sheriff Fabricio says he will do the best he can with what he has. He also said he does not yet know exactly, again, when those inmates will be released.
Temperatures remain chilly. We had dense fog this morning, more fog rolling in tonight. What can we expect tomorrow?
Chief Meteorologist John Mayer has a first look at your forecast.
Well, today shaping up very, very similar to yesterday, at least when it came to temperatures. Afternoon highs only getting into the low to mid 50s, still bringing on a pretty serious chill. But I'll tell you, it's those morning lows you're going to have to watch out for. That's where we've really seen these numbers starting to drop off early on today, dipping back down into the mid to upper 30s. Not quite a freeze, but getting close. We're actually going to get even closer still. Tonight into tomorrow morning, a chance to not only drop down below freezing, but to combine in some fog, some frost, some potential freezing fog that can make for some dangerous driving conditions overnight into tomorrow morning. And well, if we continue to see skies like we did early on today, that could be a big issue, though we did manage to clear out a bit here this afternoon. Can we keep that trend going? We'll go ahead and walk you through all those dips and dives in that upcoming forecast in just a few.
Teachers in the Greater Albany Public Schools returning to the bargaining table tomorrow. Teachers Union voted overwhelmingly last month to strike if no deal is reached by November 12th. Discussions have been ongoing for 9 months with no deal in sight. The sticking points include safer, less crowded classrooms and more resources for students with behavioral needs. The last time Albany teachers went on strike was in 1987. Now, talks also resume tomorrow between Benton County and the county's union employees, but the union members aren't optimistic. Alana Grant with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees says last Friday's mediation session did not go well, with the county not only showing up 2.5 hours late to the meeting, but offering what Grant calls a restructuring of their original proposal. Union workers are demanding better pay and improvements to worker safety following the 2019 death of Pete Newman, which has been blamed on faulty equipment. The workers say they will go on strike November 13th if no deal is reached.
Coming up, with the election now likely decided, the question becomes, what next? More on that after the break.